All right, got it recorded now. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jared and Diane so we can kind of go through this stuff and see where we're at and what we need to do. So it's y'all's show.
Jared, you want to unmute? Oh, there you go.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm driving, so I'm
Oh,
trying to
bless
keep the road noise down. But
you.
anyway, um, I guess I mean, as you well know, we only have a handful of applicants.
Right.
We had, if memory serves me, we had two folks that turned in a recap of their year as they were asked. Um, we only had one new applicant that hasn't held an office yet, and that's Dr. McKay.
Right.
Uh, but other than that, we had a few retreads, if you will, for lack of a better term. And that was after we sent letters to the 48 governors, which are the 16 sitting, the 16 first, the 16 seconds, the international family, the Lions Camp office, and the state office, trying to get the word out. Uh, Council Chair Chris also sent each sitting chair a personalized email asking them to either reapply for their position or send a recap. Uh, to which, again, I think, if memory serves me, we're somewhere in the 8-person response, one being a request to drop out of their seat, which was Otelia with state grant writing.
Right.
I've had no other person since December 31st, whenever the first wave of applications close, inquire as to continuing or showing any interest in taking another office. So I don't know uh, what the council's desire is going forward. But having said that, I don't know that there's any need or any use to go back out. Not to mention, we're up against a timeline of where we won't be able to meet these folks in person unless we do it at the state convention or if we have a Zoom call with either the entire council or our committee.
I'm going to just ask the question uh, only because it's just me. Uh, do you think, Jared, in all honesty, sincerity, and Diane, this goes for you since you and Jared both are co-chaired for this, that it is worth our time to even think about trying to go out and resolicit and do an interviewing process via Zoom at this late date?
As I've shared with you, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't want to lead that because I feel that that's a question of my integrity, having signed the letter that was sent out saying that with no exceptions, applications are closed December 31st. If someone else or if the council so chooses to, as I said, I would respectfully request to step out of the role of chair
Diane,
because
I'm sorry, Jared, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say because I think that we had made a concerted effort to reach as many people as we could, and the only thing that we didn't do was have Lion Floyd, because of obvious reasons, send out an email to the every single entire line in the state. Um, so
And and
that's it.
and I can tell you, if we would have had that opportunity for Floyd to send out that email to every line within the state, I'm afraid that your response would have been about the same as it's been right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I'm
Uh,
afraid you're right.
I'm gonna I know that at the meeting when we were all together in Kerrville, uh, uh, my biggest concern was that maybe the districts did not turn those things around and get that information out to the lines within their district. That was my biggest contention. I will also tell you that I have had a conversation, and I think I know I've shared it with Jared, and Mike, I may have shared this with you, and Diane maybe with you, but I know I've shared it with Jared. I've had a conversation with Past International Director TJ, and he has absolutely no problem with us not having filled seats. And he says to the international family, while there may be a couple who will give me, not y'all, but will give me some grief, to just let it go. And I'm okay with that. And I will have to tell you, when Jared did approach me, this was well before we were at the December 31 deadline. Jared, I'm probably going to use a date that is wrong, but I'm thinking that you and I had a conversation maybe in shortly right after the offsite council and governors meeting, where I said I totally agree with the fact that if you don't get anybody to apply, then if the council is willing to step forward and take on a role, I have no issue with that. And I think it was even at that early of a stage, and I am still of that mindset. I think the issue that came up in the meeting was the and if any of you want to jump in that were at that meeting and say that's not what you thought, please do so. But it was, I think, because we had so few people apply and so many open positions that it kind of took everybody by surprise a little bit, and uh, and as well as it should. But at the end of the day, uh, I don't think, and I've said this to Jared, and I know I've told this to Mike. Uh, I do not think that we should have just keep somebody in that seat, just have a warm body in the seat that is absolutely doing nothing. I'd rather have the seat being vacant and nobody doing something to have a warm body in there who really is doing nothing. That just has a bad reflection upon the council, and that's my personal opinion. So I'll shut up now and let you guys go.
Yeah, Chris, and Jared, I wanted to say that the individuals that were contacted literally in person by Jared, plus through many other channels that did not bother to respond. They didn't send in their application. They had ample opportunity to do that. We even sent out the reminder in when December 31st was getting close, and they just failed to respond. So I don't, they're adults, and that's all I can say about that. They should know. They should have at least said yes or no.
And I think, and if you go and currently, if you take a look at the uh, policy and procedures manual that is currently online right now, which is the 2021 one, I believe, or whatever. It's not the one that I sent out to all of y'all. It's not 25, but the one that's online. And that's what I'm looking at here is the one that's offline on the off the web page. Says very plainly they need to submit an application for the office, or if they want to continue on, they need to send in a recap. It's not like it's something that's new. It's not like it was something that we haven't done before. It's been around for a pretty good while now. So I think it's a systemic issue that we have that I shouldn't say it's not systemic, but it is something that has been moving to this head for a few years now, in that we've just let people just sit in those positions, and really as long as we had the chair filled, that's all we cared about. If they did something, that was something that was completely different. Go right ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. You got your hand raised.
Well, a couple of things I took from the conversation at our last Council of Governors, and Jared, I'm sorry you weren't able to be there, because I think this would have been the biggest concern I heard was, and rightly or wrongly, I think people took it as not that we were going to leave them empty, but that the council was going to fill those positions. And that is what created the concern, is the fact that we all have more than enough on our plates. And then the expectation that we were going to fill these positions. Now, maybe that was not correct, but I know in talking to several people, that is what they thought they heard. And so I think we need to be clear about that. Are we going to expect the council to fill those positions, or are we just going to leave them blank and have no one reporting, no one following? What is the expectation if these remain unfilled? That's point number one. Point number two is back in Temple, and I understand, I know there was meetings that were on and there were recommended people for these slots, okay? And that created some issues, right, wrong, or indifferent. It creates some issues. My question to this committee is that still, rather than go out for, solicitation or, people to apply, I agree that I don't think that horse has left the barn, okay? But my question to this committee is, what is there still a possibility that we could take those names and continue to recruit for these positions?
You mean take the applications of those people that did submit applications?
No, I'm talking about Diane. We had Jared, you had sent out, I think it was you that sent out, and maybe it was Kim,
Right.
had sent out a whole list of a meeting recap. I'm looking at it now on November 7th that had all of the positions and a name and somebody from our council that was going to follow up with these people about potential.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, but we did do that and reported them back to you.
Yes, I can't say that every single person on that list was contacted, but I know quite a few were contacted by the responsible person.
Right.
What list?
And the list that was discussed in Temple, we had taken all of the chairs, and the meeting after the council meeting where we all came together and mentioned names of folks who had characteristics of the office that we may like to have,
Somebody want to
Phil.
send me that list? Maybe we can reach out to some of those people again and see, Jared, if they want to.
I mean, it sounds like that was a contentious issue, and now we're going to take it and we're going to run with it.
The contentious issue, wait a minute. The contentiousness of that issue dealt strictly with the G's. Everything else was fine. That was the contentious side of it. That was me saying, wait a minute, folks.
Right.
It's the G's. I specifically had made the comment to please, if you're going to talk about changing G's or going to go ask somebody to serve in the G, to run that through me before you did it. That was the only ones. All the rest of them were fine. I didn't care what you did. I just knew that the G's have, because of the relationship between the council chair and those G's, because they're part of the GAT. That's why I wanted to make sure that I knew beforehand, if you wanted to change somebody or what you wanted to do, let me do that for you. And so I can make sure that we did not have an issue moving forward, like now that we have with no GLT in the state of Texas. And y'all didn't do this. So,
right.
Which you guys
well,
did not. That was my contention, Jared. It had nothing to do with the other committee chairs. It was only with the G's.
And let me explain a little bit.
The point. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I just think we're at the point where we need to take that list and the list of what's blank and the list of who's done it and can't do it again. And we need to start just making some governor decisions about, we're going to ask this person because we think they would be good. And if we can fill them, let's fill them with people that we know will be, or we think will be quality candidates for it. And if anybody says anything about it, said, well, I don't remember you turning in an application, so we went with what we had.
Like your
Well,
idea.
and that's what I was going to say. That was kind of the genesis of my comment here is we've given people the opportunity to stand up and say, I volunteer, right? That's gone, right? So now it's either up to us. I totally agree, Chris, you're absolutely right. Better to have the thing blank and not have somebody there than somebody that's not going to do the job. So my thinking is, why, I think we're justified if we feel like one or two people would be good in this role. I don't see anything wrong with us reaching out to saying, hey, would you be willing to serve with us as a committee chair next year?
I don't have an issue with that, but the committee the committee will need to make that, if that's all right with the committee. I mean, I don't.
And is that going to be okay with the council?
Well,
I mean,
what I was going to
True.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be okay at the council. Yeah.
Let's put it together in at least a loose format and decide if this is what we want to do. And maybe we haven't had a monthly council Zoom meeting since we've been having all the other Zoom meetings. Maybe we have one and we say, okay, this is what we're thinking. What do y'all think? And if we don't have any real dissension to it, then we go ahead with it.
I was going to suggest along with that, David, that the committee put together the list that they had before. If somebody's been reached out to and they said they weren't interested, let's take their name off. If you guys have thoughts, but let's circulate that to the council with this is the approach we're thinking about, and then open it up for other people on the council. If they know somebody in their district that they think might be a good candidate, let them recommend somebody. And then we can, the committee, that's part of what your charter is. You're the leader, you're the ones putting this together on behalf of the committee. Right. And then, then we can, make sure that everybody's on board with it and we reach out to those folks.
We need to do that back through either Diane or Jared or the two of them, or either one of them, so that we have one funnel that goes into. Sure. We don't want anybody reaching out to people willy-nilly. We want it to be something
absolutely
that's the process.
Well, I mean, just like you did before. Sorry, Diane, just real quick. Just like you did before in this list, you had a name of a council member responsible for reaching out to that. And that was usually somebody from their district that knew that person. And I think that's the right approach. As long as someone is coordinating that effort that says, okay, David, you're to contact Joe and Jane in your district and report back to me whether they're interested or not, right? And Ryan, you reach out to, Sam in your district about this role and see if they're interested. And then that way, we coordinate all of that into one central point.
Exactly.
We're talking, just to be clear, we're talking about the list, and I think Jared put this together, meeting recap November 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It goes down and discusses each one of the committee chairs that we talked about. And
now go ahead.
Recommendations for, correct?
That is correct. But also, I'm also looking at a list that I believe that Whitney shared with us that's called the 24-25 state chairs. And It's the list of all of the positions and who's got multiple. Anyway, I think those two lists could be used together to come up with, this is the list of committees that we need. We can already put the names in of the people that have applied for those positions. And then those that we don't, we can put in possible names.
I can give you a list of the last 3 or 4 years of what the state chairs were from our
Yeah,
directory.
right.
And I can scan that in and send it to everybody so that you can go back and say, well, this person's been there for 4 years. So, whatever.
Well, the list that we have that Whitney had shared, that I think all of you have, uh, let you know when their current term ends and how many years they
Right.
have been that, and what their current term year is when it ends.
Right.
That's their spreadsheet.
That's a spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spreadsheet. Such as Gloria is going to be ending her 7th year as,
Right.
which is a 6-year term. So, it's going to
Yep.
be tough. Whatever you guys want to
And
do.
I don't think she's wanting to do that role again.
I
Just
don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think she is. Uh,
Here's the only thing, Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, go right ahead.
The list is, okay, it's meeting recap, but these were all Kevin to discuss, Gary to discuss. I think my name's on here a couple times too. Yeah. They were all members of our council who were going to discuss with the individuals that we had talked about for the incumbents of those chairs. So did we not get feedback then?
Well, Diane, if you remember, within a week after that, there was some feedback about, I think Gary had some information. He talked to somebody and that didn't go well. And I don't know. And it was kind of like, well, let's don't hit these people up just yet until we make sure is the at least that's the impression that I got at the time about put a hold on it because something wasn't going right with it. But
That
Well,
was
Gary was
because of
on-
me. I will own up to the fact. I mean, I'm the one that said and it had nothing to do with the committee chairs. And I guess that through poor communication upon my part, I will take the blame for that. Poor communication poor communication on my part. My concern was strictly over the GAT positions of that would be part of what were of the committee chairs. The rest of the committee chairs, go for it. I had no dog in that hunt. It was just the G's. So I obviously did not communicate my concerns properly, and so we're now here at this time frame, and it's not again, it's nobody's fault that nobody applied. You guys did the right job. You guys did what you're supposed to. You advertised it. You put it out there, but we didn't have people. We didn't have people apply. So now, how are we going to rectify that? And I agree with Jared. I don't think we should go back out and resolicit anymore. We've done it.
No.
You guys have put your seal on it. If you backtrack now, then what line are you holding? And it's not and we're not talking about trying to win a game here. It is about trying to move the needle forward. That if we say this is when it's got to be done, then this is when it has to be done. And I agree with all of that. So if we could try really hard to put my poor communications to the background now, and let's try to step forward. Okay, can we do that? I'm sorry for by causing the issue, but let's move forward. Okay, now go ahead, Jared.
Jared, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask, do you think that the chairs that are seated now think that they're the chairs next year?
No, because it hadn't been asked. It's the strangest thing, Jared. You'd think that when you put and this, you know that I sent an email out to every one of the sitting chairs. You know that, and you know
Right.
And you know that I sent more than one.
Yes.
So,
and
I'm
that
sorry.
tells me they don't want to serve.
Well, right. But until you say, hey, we have Lion John Smith has applied for Lions Quest, and we have accepted his application, and he is now Lions Quest chair. Does that mean that Lion Jane Doe is going to get her feelings hurt that she thought that she was going to be chair because she wasn't told that she wasn't?
This is our time to answer your question. She might get her feelings hurt, but this is the time that we tell them now. We don't have to tell anybody anything until the state convention. That's when everybody finds out. That's when we would have, even if you would have voted on people in February, we wouldn't have let that vote information out until the state convention anyway. Okay.
Jared, my answer to your question about somebody getting their feelings hurt is that as we get people that are going to agree to fill a position and we're happy with them and they're replacing someone, then before the state convention, maybe we send them a thank you letter saying, we want to thank you for your years of service and whatever, and appreciate your filling this position. It's now being passed to someone else. And
right. One would think that if they enjoyed and respected the position enough that they would do what they were asked, to take 3 minutes to fill out an application or 30 seconds to send a recap, but they didn't.
That's right.
But you all well know, as soon as they're told that this title is taken from them, they're going to get hurt and they're going to get insulted and they're going to badmouth everybody.
Well, that's just too bad. I think I got big enough shoulders for him to badmouth me, but
well,
I mean, sending them a letter, I'm just trying to be nice.
Right. No, I understand. And I know
he would just tell them, hey, you didn't do it. So that's it.
Yeah.
I know several of the folks on that list have been contacted. I know that I heard from Jeffrey, like Nan. He had mentioned Nan being in a position. And then there was also Dr. Barajas. He contacted both of them and neither one of them took the position. I know Diane talked to Terry Kunkel, and Terry Kunkel said yes to half, but no to the whole. So she stepped out. And I know that, there were several other conversations that were had. So I don't know how robust the list is nowadays. Because I do recall, and I'd have to go back and look and see who told me what, since it's been several months ago, but I don't know that list even has everybody on it. So we may have to go through and ask the 12 of us, or ever how many were in that room, if they had a chance to talk to that person and if that person was remotely interested. And if they weren't, do we rebuild that list, or do we pursue the people that said, well, I'll think about it, or the people that we haven't had a chance to talk to, or, how do we go from there?
Can we send that list out and make some notes? Each of us, go in and look at it and make notes of somebody we could or didn't talk to or should have talked to or whatever, and recompile that and see kind of where we stand. I mean, I think it's just going to be something we're just going to have to work on in short order, just to kind of fill the holes.
As I went down and looked at the list and just of the committee chairs, I reached out to one person on there to ask them if they would be interested in serving as a committee chair, and I reached out to Terrell Thompson and asked Terrell if he would be interested in serving as the Constitution and Bylaws Policy and Procedure Manual chair. Yeah. And he said he would love to serve in that position.
Yeah, he'd be perfect.
I think that Joe Montag is the wrong person to have in that position. He doesn't have time. And if you've had any conversation with Gary, any of the late, Gary's having issues with him within the district right now. And so I wasn't trying to step on anybody's toes. It's just that position needs somebody who understands the Constitution and bylaw I think the work
The
that
law.
and I think the work that Carol has done over the years in writing those changes to the Constitution and bylaw and to policy and procedures has shown that he takes the time and does it and is willing to do the job. So there's one for you if you guys want to change. And if you want me to tell Joe that he's not going to be serving on as that chair for next year, I'm okay doing that. So if you want to do it, you can do it. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. Just tell me how you want to do that, if that's the way you want to go. So
I still think thank you
Jared,
letters is the best way to notify people.
I'm sorry.
Thanking them for a thank you letter, thanking them for their service is the best way to.
I agree. I agree.
I think going forward, Jared, I think it's up to you and Diane and the committee to put together however you want to move forward with this thing. I think Diane may have suggested, or, it sounds to me like one of the first steps is somebody needs to own the list, right? And then maybe you need to touch base with the people that had been designated just to see where everybody is. Did you contact? If not, is that person still viable? And then once you come up with that list, we can look and see where there may be gaps, and then we can share that with the overall council to get other recommendations from the whole council at that point.
I don't know, Jared, did you compile any kind of information from anybody who might have responded to you right after Temple? Because we all talked like we're going to run back and we're going to talk to these people right away.
Well, I did, and that's obviously what I said. I remember you talked to Ms. Conkle.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Jeffrey about the two that I mentioned there.
Okay.
I believe Kevin had
Yeah.
and again I'm not going to cross that bridge. We've been over this. We beat that dead horse. But Kevin had a conversation, and Gary had a conversation, and both of those were anyway. I think we've had several folks that were approached, and like I said, I'm either going to have to send it back out and ask for that, or I'm going to have to go through my emails and text messages and make notes myself so that I can remember just exactly who all was contacted. And then you've got folks who have already applied who may have not been on the list. Example given, Jackie Arnold. Jackie Arnold has applied to keep her position and followed directions.
Right.
But we didn't want her. So what do we do there? Woody Matthews did a recap as he was asked. If somebody else says, hey, I want to have Stan Jones, do we bring that to a vote from the council, or do we say, hey, we're just starting with a new slate now?
That's a good question.
I think, Jared, I think if you have, let's go to Woody or let's go to Jackie. Both of them have put a recap in. If there is somebody that has made, I don't know if you have that or not, but if there's anybody that has made application or shown interest in wanting to serve as USA Canada chair, then just because Woody is the incumbent doesn't mean that he's going to be the one that's going to be picked up for next year.
Right.
It's up to you as the committee to interview and then to bring that to your council to vote. If you want, and to say these are the two candidates. The committee recommends this person, but it's up to the council to make the vote. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And while we're on this subject, I'm going to interject something here. Maybe it might make it a little bit easier as we move forward. I'm going down the list, and you, whatever list you might have, but I'm using the list that I have from uh,
Oh, the spreadsheet.
the
Yeah.
spreadsheet, okay, that we have from Whitney. Um, I'm going to start off at the very bottom, at the very bottom of the G's, the GMA coordinator. Um, in a bunch of conversations over the last couple of weeks with TJ, I'm going to recommend that GMA coordinator's position be eliminated from MD2. We are the only MD that has it in our Constitution and bylaw now. As a matter of fact, it's nowhere can be found at LCI. So it's a confusing position because of the overlap that it has with the GMT. So my recommendation is going to be, Diane, that through your committee of Constitution and bylaw, is that we uh, put that up for a vote at the end of this year to remove it
Oh,
as from here and also out of our Constitution and bylaws.
the GMA position. Okay.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Jared and Diane are correct. And I exactly correct that opportunities for youth does include the peace poster. It is
Yeah.
all encompassing. So the one person you have there, and my only concern with Jared and Diane, I will give you is you have Dr. Nia Kay, who has put in for that. She's a second vice district governor this year. She's going to be a first next year, and then she's going to go in to be governor. I believe Nia can probably take on any role that you ask her to take on, and probably
So,
take on 10 of them and do them well. But do you think it's going to be too much for her to try to do as she gets into the governor year? I would just ask you to consider that amongst the two of you and just think about it. We talked about Constitution and bylaws. I think Joe needs to go, and somebody who said they would do it. Going on, I'm just going to go down this list. New voices. We have PDG Angela Cases. We have not done anything with new voices within MD2 in years, as far as the MD is concerned. Is that a chair that we really need to fill? I'm only throwing this out here for food for thought for you as a committee. I do believe Leader Dog for the Blind is an extremely important one. So I don't know if you're going to refill that, if you're going to reach out to Angela, or if somebody is on your list for somebody to reach out to do that. The LCI Foundation Ambassador, we don't pick it. That's chosen for us by Lions Clubs International, and right now that's past District Governor Mark Roth, and I will imagine that he's going to be it for next year too.
okay.
State grant writing. That we put that position in right after Hurricane Harvey, is when that position came in. Might I suggest that it be removed? Nobody's ever used it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did anybody even reach out to Attilia this year yet?
Attilia was the first one that said that she didn't want to do it anymore. She said that she had been contacted a couple of times.
Okay.
And she had also reached out to assist folks. Kevin mentioned that he wanted to talk to Chuck Martin about doing it.
Okay.
Because he thought Chuck would be good. I don't know if he got that far after the Lisa conversation he had, but that was one name that I do remember having heard.
Okay. This is just my suggestion. It doesn't mean that that's what you got to do. If there's somebody that wants to do that job, fine. Lions Quest. We haven't. Janera has had that job for. Well, it says. I don't know what it said, 6 years. I think she's had that job. She's been in that position ever since I was a second vice district governor. So that's a long time ago. And she doesn't even show up anymore. She can't. I don't think.
Yeah, I was going to say she's in poor health right now.
Yeah.
I know she was not going to be interested in that role.
No, and I'm not real sure that while I think it's a great program, we probably need somebody to work it. We need somebody to have who has an understanding of what the quest is all about. So I think there might be some you may want to remove from that, maybe not. We've already reached out to Talbert as your legal advisor. I did reach out to Gary Salt. He is your financial advisor. However, Woody Matthews will be shadowing Gary because Gary wants to step away at the end of next year and do whatever else he wants to do. So, you know, that's fine. Obviously, TJ will continue to be your council of governor advisor and international liaison. Everything else is nothing to do with you guys appointing anyone. They're all something else to do with. So from the standpoint of some of these chairs, if you want to eliminate some, I don't think there's going to be any issue if that's what you decide to do. If you don't want to eliminate any and you want to leave them vacant until you find somebody during the year that will take it on, I think that will be fine as well. I do know that the international family is firmly aware of the lack of applications received, or basically what I told TJ was that we didn't receive any, and I said so it could be very lean. He is fine and dandy with those chairs going vacant, and he has already told the remainder of the international family just that those chairs, there may be some vacant chairs. I'll take the heat from them if they have a problem with that. I don't think that they will. Finally, let me talk to you about the G's. I know that we've had issues with that, but let's talk about the G's and get those out of the way. GLT coordinator for next year is going to be Lisa Free Martin. You guys, she's already submitted her application to do that. Since she is a part of the GAT, as the chair, I get to make the decision on how we get to move forward with that. So she will be the GAT. The GMT coordinator, as much as I hate to say this, and I know that I can probably speak for Jared, and Jared, if I'm putting words in your mouth, you say Gunstream, that's not true. Jared and I both did not like the response that we got from Vinod when we asked him before making the recommendation to remove the GMA, but we did not like the response we got from Vinod when I reached out to him to serve as a GMA, and we would look for another GMT. But at the end of the day, since we're not going to have a GMA, I'm going to recommend that we continue and let Vinod continue on this next year as GMT, unless somebody has someone that they would recommend to me for me to reach out to. And if you have someone, let me know, because I have not given Vinod an up check or an up sign or said, you know, you're going to be the GMT next year. I've not told him that. So
I think Vinod does a great job as a GMAT.
you know what, Jared? That's
probably
exactly
fair.
what he does.
That's a smart ass response, but I think
Pretty
we just put
accurate.
Vinod in both spots and just not even say that we've got a GMA.
Yeah.
That's
I
basically
just,
right.
You know,
I-
just say that this year we're going to have a GMT and it's Vinod, and let Vinod keep doing what Vinod thinks a GMT does and fulfill the GMA role for us.
Right.
Well, I think what he does in that role from the GMA side is tremendously well. The information we get from him is awesome.
Right.
Very
Right.
good.
I don't want to rock the boat because I like what he does. And
Well,
if
I
he wants
think-
to call himself the unicorn handler, that's fine with me. But you know, if he
Don't
wants
give
to
him
be the
ideas.
GMAT, we can be the leading district with the first GMAT ever.
And I think that maybe some direction from the council, if you will. I love your cowboy hat. I think some direction from the council. You're muted, so we can't hear you.
You're muted, David. You're muted. David, you're muted. You're still talking and you're muted, David.
He's got his Jimmy Ross
There he
hat on.
goes.
There it is.
It's my unit. No, it's my unicorn Wrangler hat.
Huh?
I got this at one of those gas stations on the way back from the last COG meeting. I said, well, if we're going to have to take hats to Hong Kong, I don't want to take good ones. So I bought one at a convenience store, and this is it. So,
There you go, man.
Not
That's a
bad.
good Wrangler hat, though, man.
Yeah.
yeah, there you go, man.
I think that I think it would not, I think it would be a wise decision, or something from the council, to kind of give, Vinod, if there's any more, direction or expectation you want from him, to tell him. He'll meet it, if that's what you want. And if we're going to keep him there, I think he needs to do a little bit more, GMT work than GMA work. So, so you, if you're fine with me saying to him, you're going to continue on next year, then I will let him know that. So,
Okay.
for GST coordinator, we had one application. That was Renee Lamson. We reached out to Renee to serve, and she will gladly serve. And I think if all of you have taken the time to read her, I don't know, 12 pages of what she wants to do next year. As
15, I think.
and I mean that sincerely. It really is very good, what she wants to do.
We're going to have an uphill battle with that. I'll tell you right now, because I sort of alluded to it in our group text, and which we can cross this bridge when we get there. But the responses I got, while I was hoping that people would say, yeah, it would be great if maybe we could do something, was we don't want to do another requirement. So anyway, I hope that Renee takes that in the
Oh, I think she will, and I think
under
that she will.
advisement.
I think she will, Jared, and I think that this is, she is doing this saying this would be great if you want to do it. If a district wants
Right.
to pick it up and run, that's fine. If you don't want to pick it up and run with it, you don't have to. I don't.
And they're cheap and easy, but I've heard from several, well, we already have to do this for that, or we already have to have this for Club Excellence, or we're not going to do it. Well, okay, that's fine. But it's an easy way to say that the Lions of Texas in August had blind awareness, and 22,000 of us represented by donating eyeglasses or whatever. And I think that's where she meant, but I think that she's going to have an uphill battle with some of our fellow compadres.
Mm.
Well, and that's okay, and that's okay. It's not a big deal.
Actually, it's not, Chris. It's really not. In my opinion, that is very selfish, and not the proper approach if you're going to be a leader. Sorry, I'll shut up from there because I shouldn't say that, but I get a little bit tired sometimes of people's attitude of, anyway.
That is each of their own, and each governor will react, and will react to however they want to react for their district. I'm sorry, I wish I could do it my way, but my way is not always the right way. So I
apologize.
Digress.
That's a personal issue, and I shouldn't have aired that. So I apologize.
I digress there. For GET, I've gone around and around on this. As you all know, Ronnie Martin is actually serving as the current GET. While he is the GMA, he really is, in fact, in essence, the GET. Ronnie is not going to serve next year. He will serve. He will help some districts out, but he does not want to serve in a specific role or a label or a title role next year. Again, in consultation with the international family, I had a couple of names that I threw out that I thought would be that might be good to fit in that position. And of the couple, one of them was I was told unequivocally no. And once I found out why, then I understood. But a name that kept coming up to the forefront of this was past District Governor Patsy Acom out of T3. She has been very successful in putting clubs in areas out there that are difficult to put clubs in. And if you've taken a look at T3, they have grown their clubs a little bit out there, a lot. She is also going to serve as GET for Brian for T3. So I mean, Brian has a bunch of faith in her in that, and I do too. And she is willing to serve in that role and is willing to travel. She's retired now, so she is willing if she needs to go to a district and spend a week somewhere or do this, and she's willing to do that to make that happen. And that was the biggest thing, is I wanted somebody who understood how to put a club in that was not doing it underneath anybody's specific formula, but was doing it underneath the auspices of the way Lions Clubs International would like to see us put a club in, and has been successful. And those clubs have stayed. The ones that she has put in have stayed in. So that will round out our G's for next year, as she will serve as the GET for MD2. So a lot of new faces will be in there, which I think are great. I think it's good. And while I can appreciate some folks having don't want to be forced into doing something that they don't want to do, and I'm not, and I certainly don't think that Renee is wanting to get to force people to do anything, but I think bringing a fresh perspective to the GST position over what we've had the last two, and both of them did a good job as far as preparing and providing information to the council. They did a horrible job, in my opinion, of providing information to the district GSTs. There was not a lot of communication going on from the state to the district. I know that Renee will make communication from the state to the district through the district governors on things that are coming up in advance, and also will work with anybody that is having an issue with getting stuff reported. So I think those new faces, with the exception of Vinod, will be welcomed into the GAT world and welcomed by the Lions of Texas. So
Kathy's last name is Aiken, A-K-I-N.
Oh, ACHIM, Acom.
Oh, Aiken. Okay.
I'm terrible about it. I do it AKIM. No, I'm from Orange, Texas. Sorry, Jared.
That's all right.
I just spelled it the exact same way, Chris.
I went to Stark High School. But it's ACHIM, Patsy
Thank
Acom.
you.
You betcha. And just a real nice person. And if you don't know her, you'll enjoy meeting her. She really is a good person. I like the direction that you guys want to go. Again, if there's anybody that you want me to reach out to, let me know. I'll gladly reach out to them. I'm not trying to do your job for you. If you want to reach out there, do it. That's fine. I think that you're right, that we don't want to go out and resolicit. That's just not what we want to do. Take your list that you have and rework that list and go with it. But what I'd like for y'all to do, and Jared, you and Diane working as the co-chairs of the committee, you will have to tell me if this is doable. This is now the end of February, so I would like to ask you by the middle of April, which would be the 15th of April. Do you think you could have a list of folks that you would like to have a phone call or a Zoom meeting with the council to vote on? Is that a doable time frame?
Yeah. Well, I finally got my taxes in today. So
I mean,
that's
we, I guess we would have to have a conversation with the council to get that list. Because like I said, if we go off of what the 10 or 12 of us that were in that room discussed,
right.
I know of several that have already said no. So we would
Okay.
essentially have to rebuild that list from scratch.
Okay,
And
then, yeah.
we would have to have a council work session to get that list together.
We have our next scheduled council meeting is not until the 12th of March. We can certainly do we can do a work session if you want to if you think we need to call a special work session and just to discuss that and that only for a 30-minute time frame or however long you think it would take.
I just wonder, is that the best way to get names, or could we be as effective if you put together the list with whatever names we think are still viable and then share that?
Well, how are we going to know if they're viable?
Well,
if
Somebody's going to tell us.
well,
that's what I was going to say.
So we just send that list back out and ask for folks who have talked to those people
Right.
to redline that list.
That
Right.
would be the best start. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
And then just have people hopefully send it back with recommendations whenever it's redlined, I guess.
Well, if you get it back, I will tell you from experience that you will have to do some reminders because you will get a number of people that will respond right away. You will get others that don't respond, and you're going to have to reach back out to them. That's how I have to do it, to get people to respond, unfortunately, to things that I send out. And, we get a lot of stuff, and if you think it's better to do it in a Zoom call, we can do that.
Gosh, that's a cuss word nowadays.
Boy, you got that right.
This
That's
is
what I'm
the
saying.
7th one this week that I've had.
And there's one more tonight at 8.
Yeah, I fell asleep at the one last night. I dare say that we're going to have another Zoom call over this because
That's what I'm saying.
I would
That's what I'm
definitely
saying.
be
If we do-
crucified at the stake after.
If we do it through email, I think we'd have a better opportunity to get it done. Just my opinion. And if it makes you feel any better, Jared, I'm on this is number 12 for me. So
Oh,
Well, I'll trade you my 84-hour schedule and my 7
I was going
for
to
your
say,
12.
and I know, thank you. I've been there, done that, buddy.
Why don't
taking that
I,
bait.
I don't particularly want to hold
Let me-
another Zoom call.
Let me propose something to this committee. Why don't we decide what chairs we want to have filled and then go after getting names for those chairs? Because quite honestly, I know I keep bringing this up because it's the easiest one for me to remember. World Services for the Blind. Is that a deal killer?
No.
Lions Quest. We pretty much said nobody's asked about that. Grant writing. Nobody's asked about that. We could identify someone. Hey, if you need grants, this person's not going to go out and politicize that they're a grant writing chairman, but we know, for example, Chris Kovach has written millions of dollars worth of grants and could probably help you in his schedule. What chairs do we want to see filled? And I know that this whole thing backfired on Diane, and I will publicly in front of all of y'all apologize to Diane for not being there and this thing going sideways with her. But my intention was, if we didn't have a chair, we weren't going to fill that chair. In my mind, I had a thing where at each Council of Governors, we would have 4 governors stand up, and those 4 governors would highlight World Services for the Blind and Lions Quest and New Voices and give maybe a 2-minute, hey, we have a chair next year that needs to be filled about Lions Quest. Lions Quest is a great opportunity for us to get out into school districts, blah, blah, blah. That's what I meant whenever I said we would take those positions, but evidently it has devolved into something to where it's a full-time job for us to travel across the state to fill this role. So I apologize that that wasn't conveyed in the nature in which I was thinking about it. But my thinking is the committee comes back and says, hey, we have 8 chairs that we definitely want to have filled because they are fundamental to the success of the Lions of Texas. The other 17 are good if we have somebody, but we're not going to chase them because we've got so much on our plate right now that we want to make sure that these 8 or 6 or 5 or whatever it is are filled with good quality people. And then maybe we can highlight these other superfluous extra seats and say, hey, next year, if you're interested, this year we don't have anybody for state grant writing. If you would like to put out a newsletter or an email once a month or something like that, remember, whenever it comes around, this is your opportunity to step into that role, or, whatever, make it known. But what chairs do we see that we need to have?
I think that's a good approach. The only thing I would suggest, Jared, is like I think Chris mentioned earlier, we leave the committee chair blank and we let the council, at the Council of Governors, we make the announcement. Hey, if you have interest in serving as the chair, they can put in their nomination at that some point in time after the year starts.
But there was a nomination process, an application process in place. And the policy and procedures even outlines the duties and qualifications. So people
understand that, Diane. And again, I don't want to argue the point, but we're talking about doing something different now for certain committees.
Right.
So why would we hold committees we don't think are quite as important to a higher standard that we're talking about not holding people to on committees that we think are important?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying we go out and solicit. I'm just saying those are open. Right. If someone is interested and they apply, let's consider them. I mean, but sure. Not go out and advertise for it.
No.
I will.
David?
Yes, David. Go right ahead, David.
Can I ask one quick question? I was just looking at the list of state chairs and that sort of thing, and there was state IT that was Floyd, and I know there's been a lot of work put into trying to rectify that situation and everything. Is there a like some kind of an oversight of whoever's going to be the company that's handling that that needs to be addressed as a committee or a chair or something that we have to do anything with?
I will answer that question. That position is going to be removed from the policy and procedures manual as a committee chair, the IT committee chair, because it is a contracted position now.
Right.
Floyd was contracted. He was a contract employee to that. We have, thanks to Mike, he and some work that we've done, we've got an updated job description for that, so we can go out and solicit. We're not going to. There is oversight to be looked at that, and our oversight committee for MD2 is the one who is in charge of that, of having that done. So we did have the one bid that came in from Stephen Mabry, and it was just frankly too much money. We can't afford him, so we're going to solicit the Lions of Texas, and we know that there's got to be, or it has to be somebody out there, and we'll pay them, and they're not. It's not that like we're not going to not pay it. We're going to pay them more than what we paid Floyd, but not much more. But that will be that will no longer be a committee chair. It's going to actually be a
Contract. Yeah.
contracted position, just as our state administrator is a contracted position, and our museum curator is a contracted position.
Mm.
Good.
Jared, I'll gladly send you if you want me to tell you what are the ones you can that are important, the ones that are not important. I'll share with you what my thought is, but you may not. You may think it's something different, and that's fine too. Uh, all I want all of you to know is that the international family of Texas is aware that there will be vacant seats in committee chairs next year. They're fully prepared for that, and it's my understanding they're okay with it.
Yeah. And not to be negative, but let me just put this out there for y'all to think about. What chairs have we missed hearing from? Is there anyone that we just said, man, we didn't hear from Leader Dogs this year, and we really missed them? I mean, and I understand that there are chairs and that there are important chairs, but at the end of the day, what chairs, when you look at that list, would you say, if we didn't hear from this person or we didn't have an active person in that chair, would we miss something?
Oh, I think that I think there's a couple of chairs that we're missing that we could actually do a lot. We could move service forward in a couple of areas if we had somebody in Lions Quest that knew what they were doing and understood the new way that Lions Quest runs and operates and what we could do. I think there's some things that could be done there. I think Leader Dog, especially with our relationship that we have with Leader Dog, is quite important that we have somebody actively in that, to be active in that role, not a part-timer. Grant writing, no, not at all.
Right.
I think you're right. I think, if somebody needs help with writing a grant, call Jared Wilson and have him reach out to our good friend Chris Kovac, who has probably written more money in grants than anybody that we got on the council. He knows how to write them, and if you're willing to work at his pace, then he'll get you a good grant. World Services for the Blind. No, we're not going to miss any of that. The only person that's going to be upset if we don't have somebody fulfilling the role in World Services for the Blind is going to be John Landrum, because he sits on the board. So no, I don't. I don't look forward
and
to
maybe Sam too, because Sam's on the board
Sam's
too.
on the board
It's
now
on the
too.
board of that, yeah.
But I don't.
But
particularly-
I don't say that to stir the pot or anything. I just we're coming down to a point to where, who do we need to have in place at the first of the year? And if we don't have anybody, what chair are we going to start sweating about having filled?
Yeah, that's fair.
I will send you a what I think, and again, the committee may not agree with what my thought is, but I will send you a list. I will send you the list of A, B, and C. A being what you need to have filled. B, it would be great, and C, it can go vacant. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good.
And I'll share it with everybody on this call here. You guys, but again, that is only my opinion. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what they're going to want to look at. So
You do. Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna, you can take it or leave it, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what is considered to be a need to fill chair and one that can go that can just let ride. So
I think that's a good approach.
So we're going to go through the whole list, and based on some of Chris's recommendations, basically reprioritize what it is we're filling.
I'll have that list to you. I'll have that list to you by Monday morning.
Okay.
And then I think, Diane, the next step is to, kind of look at the list that we had And if we know that someone had followed up, then we can add or take the name off. If we're not sure, then maybe it'd be worth reaching out either through a quick phone call, a text, or whatever, and said, hey, after Temple, you were going to contact Joe about this. Did you? And were they interested? Something like that, right? Just something quick. So we can come up with that list. And then from there, you guys can decide how you want to move forward. If you want to share that with the council and get their feedback and see if they have other people that they would recommend, that's up to you guys to decide.
Well, I think that was one of the comments that I heard in Kerrville was the entire council was not involved in this process.
Right. And that way we'll get it to everybody and they can have input into it, is my thought.
There has to be some trust in the committee, and the committee's got to be, and I trust this committee to come up with what you want to do. I just think that if you're going to vote, if you're going to have a vote on to bring people in, I think the entire council needs to have an up or down vote on that. So it's not just a select committee making the decision who's going to fill those committee positions, but you're making a recommendation to the council of who you recommend to fill, and let them make a vote on that. I think that's the proper way of doing it.
Okay.
We had a Zoom call about delegating and trusting the people that you put in there and all that.
There you go.
Example.
There you go. Apply some of that we've learned, right, David?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, after this, can you send me so I can have your backdrop there at some point in time?
Sure. How much money you got?
Mike?
Don't look at me, man. Do not look at me.
Well, you got it up.
I'll forward it to you. That's not a problem. Not a problem.
Thanks.
I can as well too. I
We
actually
We can't use it
resized
except
mine,
with us until after July, can we?
Yeah, yeah. I
just with
put it
us,
up.
yes.
I put it up for our phone calls. We have them.
Yep. Yep.
Anything else for this committee work this evening? I want to thank all of you for taking the time on a Friday night, and I know to do this, number one, and number two. Look, I have not had as many Zoom meetings as you guys have had this month. I can't believe what they put you through, but I've had more than I even care to have. And I know that you guys have had more than you care to have. So I thank you for taking the time to do this through a Zoom call. And because this is important that we get this finalized.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that we're not going to go back out and solicit anymore. We were done with that, that we're going to, and I'm glad the steps that we're going to take to move this forward. So again, I just want to make sure we can get this to the council so the council can vote. I mean, I'd hate for us to have to wait until the state convention for us to vote on everything. I would like to see us be able to do this on our regularly scheduled council Zoom call. And if we can do that in April, that would be great. That would be
I think
wonderful.
that's a good target.
Are we going to plan to build in any interview time?
Sure, we can certainly do that. Yes, sir. I can.
I wouldn't have any question, but like I said, I know that from what I heard went on, it seemed like people thought that they were being pushed into
this is how I took it, Jared. And again, those who were there in the room, tell me if you took it differently. What I took it was that the thought was that the committee was going to make a unilateral decision for the entire council on who's going into what chair. So in other words, you had Jane Smith, who you guys had interviewed and recommended
you had one person that applied that got that chair. So
yeah.
Yeah,
But
basically.
but you understand where I'm going, Jared? You understand what I'm saying? That was and all they wanted, and it was, and I won't tell you who it was, but it was one person who said, "I do not like the fact that we're allowing a committee to make a unilateral decision." And I said, "Well, I don't think that's what they're saying. They're making a recommendation, and and the committee will and the council will vote."
Yeah.
But
Nobody was hired by application.
no,
No,
no.
Some people, like me, like to gripe about anything they can think of, and that's just another opportunity. So
Exactly. And I'm not saying like you, but you're right. Some people just
no,
like to,
look,
No, Jared's definitely in a whole area by himself. You know, it's
Guys, I'm sorry, I've got to log off because I've got
and I'm getting
grandkids
ready
here
and
that
I'm
are
gonna
about to leave. So